Hey y'all, it's Dr. Know-It-All. This channel is dedicated to finding out whether I really do know it all or not. Anyway, make sure you like and subscribe, and definitely make sure you ask questions in the comments because my wife ferrets out the questions and she comes up with ones that are good for me. So without further ado, let's see what she got me for today. Drum roll. Alright. Oh, long one. Jeez. Okay, the question of the day is the moon landing a hoax? Okay. I really shouldn't even have to deal with this question. No, it is not a hoax. Actually, we did land on the moon, and I am quite confident of that. I'm sure there will be people who immediately say, like, well, did you go to the moon? And I'll say, well, did you not go to the moon? Etc. Let me break this into two parts. The first part I'm going to deal with is the psychology of conspiracy theories, because that's a consistent thing. And the second part is to deal with the actual factual aspects of the moon landing hoax theory. I will have to think about that. I'll just offhand, I can remember 3 or 4 different things that are part of the moon hoax deal. So anyway, the first part is the psychology. Okay, so I think there is a big draw to any kind of conspiracy theory, which is that you feel like you're smarter or in on a secret or something like that. I mean, it's kind of the same thing as a joke, right? If you get a joke, that's great. And if other people don't get it, then they're like dummies or whatever. It's like, haha, you didn't get the joke. You're not in on the trick. So I think that's part of the psychology, is just feeling like you're in on some sort of secret that nobody else knows about. There's also the aspect of maybe feeling smarter than everybody else. It's like, look at all this information that I know that you don't know. And there's also an aspect of sort of following a logical train of thought past the bounds of logic. You start with something that makes some kind of sense, like a doubt, because everyone has doubts, right? And you start pulling at the threads of logic until you have basically just deconstructed the sweater and you end up with nothing. So for those of you who are conspiracy theory nuts, then you're probably going to not like this video very much, because you're not going to like to be told that you're just flat out wrong. These, deep state conspiracies and so forth are not true. Now, I'm not saying that there are not things going on all the time under the table. What I'm saying is that people who do that kind of stuff are not going to call attention to themselves by doing something as stupid as a very public event like going to the moon or something. Let me just throw out an example. I have never been to China, but I am absolutely confident that China exists. Why am I confident? I've seen photographs. I've seen videos. I've met people from China. I've heard people speak Chinese. Unless they're just making it up as they go. I've seen Chinese writing. My friends and family have gone to China. That is enough evidence for me. Plus, it's on the map, the globe of the map of the globe of the world, right? So that's enough evidence that I am confident that China exists. And hello to all my Chinese friends. So hey there, you can write and say like, hey, China exists, right? So there would be no reason to suggest that it didn't exist. I mean, it's gotten so ridiculous now that we're into this whole flat Earth thing, and people are saying that the Earth is flat and so forth because they can't see evidence that the Earth is round. First of all, pictures, video, people who have been there, etc., all of that proves that the Earth is round. Also, you can do experiments. The Greeks did experiments. They figured out that the Earth was round 2,500 years ago or so. You can also go up in an airplane. Hell, I've been on the top of a 6,000 meter mountain and I could see the curvature of the Earth. From an airplane, it's quite clear if you're up at 35,000 feet. The higher you get, if you can get into a military airplane, so all you military folks out there, you can say, hey, I've been up at 60,000 feet, and for sure you can definitely see the fact that the Earth is curved. There's no reason to believe that the Earth is flat, except just obstinacy, I guess. And again, that idea of like, I'm smarter than you, and because of the fact that I can't see the Earth is flat, the Earth is round from a normal perspective, like if I look outside the window, but at the same time, I can't really see much of the horizon when I look outside the window. I just see some trees and things. So that's a ridiculous point of view, that because you can't see it under normal circumstances, therefore it doesn't exist. That's, again, like saying China doesn't exist because I haven't been there personally. So, okay, so that's the first half of it. The second half of it is dealing with the factual aspects of it. Okay, so things that I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. I know one of them is that you can't see stars in the pictures. Another one is that you couldn't see the exhaust plume as the Apollo, as the lunar module would take off. Another one was that there's little crosshairs on the pictures, and I'll try to throw up some graphics of these things as we do this. Okay, so let's deal with the fact that you can't see stars. This is a ridiculous argument. That has to do with camera exposure, right? Everyone knows we've all got really cool digital cameras nowadays. If you expose your camera to take a picture of something bright, it's going to make something that's less bright look either black or non-existent or whatever. So the moon, while it is the color of asphalt apparently, is still being baked by direct sunlight. So if you think about like a road, an asphalt road in the sun, even though that's pretty dark, that's still really bright compared to a night sky. So if you took that and you exposed your camera for that, so just, you can try it yourself. If you have a manual exposure camera, set your manual exposure to take a picture of the asphalt during the day, full on sunlight, leave it alone, wait till night, wait till a nice clear night, stick it up and point it at the stars and take a picture of the sky. You will see black. That's all you're going to see because the camera was exposed to take a picture of something much, much brighter. So, ridiculous. Second thing, the crosshairs in pictures, the idea, I guess, is that they were photoshopped in or something. Number one, of course, in the 1960s, there was no such thing as Photoshop. Yes, the Soviet-era artists had gotten very good at airbrushing people who they didn't like out of pictures and so forth, but they did not have access to these kind of digital technologies that we have now to put that in. But regardless of that, the whole point of this was that they put the crosshairs on the pictures as a way of sort of mapping out the image plane so that they understood how big the image was and how things related to each other and so forth. So it was actually baked into the camera itself. It would just take a picture of those elements, those crosshairs, as it would take pictures. So, right. What was the third? Oh, the plume of the exhaust of the lunar module as it took off. So the idea was that because you couldn't see that, it was just some sort of thing they were using a string on a model or something like that. First of all, if you've seen like images from that time period, I mean, Stanley Kubrick, yes, he did a pretty amazing job with 2001: A Space Odyssey, but for the most part, these kinds of simulations were quite obviously not real. And 2001, for all its amazing special effects and so forth, is obviously not real. You can tell. So anyway, the reason why the plume was clear was, number one, there's no atmosphere to kind of contain the plume, so it just went out. And number two, apparently the hypergolic fuels that they used inside of the rocket engine just basically produced clear exhaust. So there you go. So anyway, that's why. Just one other quick thing about this is that these conspiracy theories, part of the deal is that everyone is keeping a secret. So if you think about that, there were 12 men that landed on the moon. There were 6 people that went around the moon in the capsule while those people were on the moon. And then there was Apollo 8 also. So an additional 3 people went around the moon in addition to that. So that is a good number of people who actually went there. For all of them to have kept a secret until their deathbeds, and folks like Buzz Aldrin, you know, still alive, still going strong. Love Buzz Aldrin. His Twitter account is awesome. You know, are they seriously going to be keeping this thing a secret for, what are we at now, 50 years? Yeah, we're at 50 years from that event happening. I really don't think so. In addition to those individual people, there were people who are the controllers, all the people who worked at launch control, all the people that worked at Houston for the mission control in Houston and so forth. There was Apollo 13. I guess they also went around the moon. So sorry, they did loop around the moon quick before they came back. So they went out there too. For every single one of those people to have kept a secret is beyond any kind of rational thought. Someone would have felt guilty and would have said something about it if it had been a hoax. So. Yeah, I don't even know how to look this up, honestly. I will look it up, but... right, give me 1 minute. Okay, so yeah, just, kind of looking quickly online. Same sort of arguments I'm talking about and why they're all ridiculous. There's also the idea that the rocks themselves were not from the moon, and, again, I've seen a moon rock in plastic containment or casing at Griffith Park Observatory, actually, in LA. But, you could say like, oh, that's just something that somebody made. But again, there have been hundreds, if not thousands of scientists who are specifically geologically trained scientists who have looked at these rocks, because there are lots and lots of published papers about moon rocks. and we've even changed our theory about how the moon, came into being, right? The idea that there was this massive collision with a Mars-sized protoplanet that hit the Earth like over 4 billion years ago and knocked the moon off, and it recoalesced out there because it's made of the same material as on Earth. And so there's a more or less, again, right? It's different. It hasn't been worn away. It's the proto-Earth. Just to clarify things, it's not the same as today's, Earth stuff that's sitting on the surface. So, but anyway, there's, again, for all of those people to be fooled or to be in on this sort of conspiracy, again, is ridiculous. So, yeah. So anyway, right? I don't know why I have to do the thumbs up on this, but there you go. The moon landing actually happened. Enough said. Okay, so make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Again, make sure you ask questions in the comments or send me a direct email to DrKnowItAllKnows@gmail.com. And my wife will, again, pick out questions. Maybe she'll pick out a more interesting one next time. I don't know. I don't even know why I have to discuss this one now. But anyway, she'll pick out questions. She'll ask me, and we'll see how it goes when I answer the questions. Till next time, thank you.